Phobias! We're going to play a game. I'm going to quiz Chad on his knowledge of phobias.
Which, by the way, I've already told most people I basically know every phobia, so I'm going to prove that right now.
All right.
Here we go.
Number one. What is the phobia of arachnophobia?
Arachnophobia, that is when you have played tennis a few times, you're not good, so you throw the racket in anger, and then you are scared to hit the people next to you in the next court. So you have arachnophobia. You're welcome.
That is wrong.
Oh.
That is the fear of spiders.
Oh, correct. Yeah.
All right.
Sounded there, the CH threw me.
Yes, arach.
Yeah.
Should I have done it like that?
Yeah, then I would have known.
Okay.
Then I would have known.
I'll do this one a little bit easier. Ophidiophobia.
Sure. Ophidiophobia is when you are from Kentucky. Yeah, and everyone in your family plays the fiddle because you're from Kentucky, and you don't have arms. So you have a fear that everyone will want you to play the fiddle. And you have no arms, and you're from Kentucky.
Or it's the
so
fear.
You start to develop ophidophobia.
Or it's the fear of snakes. Claustrophobia.
Claustrophobia, of course. This is a guy in Germany, Eisenhausen-Kloster. Obviously, he was blue. Everyone knows that.
Of course, yes.
Everyone knows that.
Who doesn't know that?
Obviously, the blue group comes from that.
Okay.
From Kloster. And this is something that he thought he could fix. He couldn't until he was 30, and then he met a guy with no arms that couldn't play the fiddle. Anyway, so that's how that works. These claustrophobia. That one was right. I mean, I know that one was right.
That was definitely not right. Claustrophobia is the fear of small places. Like being on an elevator.
So close.
Or trapped inside of a box.
Oh, I thought you were doing claustrophobia with a K.
Oh, okay. That's definitely, yep.
Eisenhausen-Kloster.
Yep. Well, you're getting none of these so far. You're 0 for 3.
You get pretty fearful of
There's
that.
a fear of buttons. The fear of ducks, the fear of fire, fear of frogs, fear of sharks, galeophobia, aphagogoraphobia, the fear of being forgotten or not remembering things.
I don't remember this game. What are we playing? See what I did there?
You're funny!
See what I did there?
You're funny, Chad!
Yeah.
But we're talking about things that we're afraid of. I mean, not necessarily just about fear, but I think fear plays a lot of different roles in our lives, and we're talking to teenagers. So I have a question for you. When you were a teenager, what were some of your biggest fears in life?
Some of my biggest fears were I will be 30 and not married and not have kids. And I am that.
Aren't you 41 now?
I'm 41 and I'm not married and don't have kids.
All right.
But honestly, truly, when I was a kid, I thought my life had to look a certain way. So the reality is it won't. And the reality is it doesn't matter because that's how God designed your life. And we can try to do our own thing for sure, but at some point, if we get back on what God has designed our life to be, we don't know what that's going to look like.
Yeah. Well, and I think that there's an uncertainty with that.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that we tend to want to have answers to things in life. Like we talk about all the time, like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with your life? Like, where are you going to college?
Right.
What do you want to be when you grow up? And that question is such a loaded question. I wanted to be the very best, like no one ever was.
I want to be the very best, like no one ever was.
But I mean, it's all very narrow in what we want as a kid. I mean, I wanted to be a quarterback in the NFL. That's it. And if it wasn't quarterback in the NFL, it was a second baseman on a baseball team.
Yeah.
It was like two things.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, well, what are other options, Chad? It was like, no, it's these two.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I think as you get older, you start to go, wow, my skill set is this.
Yeah.
And you start to love that. But when you're a kid, like you want, I think fame and media and all that kind of stuff gets in your head.
And not for everyone too.
No, not for everyone.
I think that's what's great about it. It's good to have goals in life, and it's good to be shooting for something. And there's nothing wrong with saying I want to be like this and I want to go do these things. But recognizing that, like, life is a lot of unknowns. Like, there's no way I could have known at the age of 13 that I was going to be a pastor when I was almost 30.
Right.
Like, that
too.
was not at all in the books. I wasn't even a follower of Jesus at that point.
Right.
But like, the uncertainty and unknown in life and how everything kind of built upon it to where I can look back and say, yeah, no, like I could see how God was using all those interactions in my life and all those circumstances to kind of mold me and shape me towards this one thing in my life.
That's right. And I think that we don't do a great job of letting people be what they're best at. Go for whatever you feel like you're best at. Sometimes as a kid, we start to go like, there's only like 5 things you could really be.
Yeah.
You know? And you can feel the pressure to be one of those things. But look, if you really want to be an accountant and you're great with numbers, then own it.
Yeah.
Like, love it. Not everyone has to love what you love, and that's a hard thing.
Yeah. And I think that sometimes, coming back to the idea of fear, that we're afraid when our passions and what we get excited about don't line up with what we think the world thinks we should like.
Right.
If those are the things that get you excited in life, and those are the things that you're like, man, I really want to do that, then the fear is that, well, that's not normal, and I'm not going to make a ton of money doing that, or I'm not going to be able to make a career out of that. And like, that's not, especially as a teenager, don't go into it thinking like, well, I have to figure out the rest of my life.
Right.
It's like, I should go out there and do things that I'm passionate about, and do things that I'm good at, and do the things that align with where I'm at and skilled at, so that I can ultimately find the purpose that God has for me in life.
A real healthy way of developing a coping mechanism for fears is just being honest.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest thing, and you'll find that once you're honest about it, other people in your circles will be like, yeah, me too, and it'll diffuse the power of the fear, and you'll just go, oh, well then, it's okay.
Yeah.
And don't force things. If you're afraid of heights, don't get up on a building.
Yeah.
Like, don't try to overcome stuff like that. Just let it. I don't know the right advice to that, but like, just don't worry about it. Like, I think so many people are like, I'm scared of driving on bridges, so I'm going to go drive on 28 bridges. That's not going to help you.
27 might.
27 might. 28's not going to help you, or whatever it is. Like, you know, I mean, I'm scared of spiders, so put them all over me, please, so I can combat this fear.
That's crazy.
And it's just like, well, you're going to have a panic attack, so that's good. But I don't think it's that. I think it's just being okay with like, no, I don't like snakes.
Yeah.
And then if I never see a snake again in my life, that's okay.
Yeah.
No one is making you not be afraid of snakes.
Yeah, well, and no one's making you be the person that goes up in front of their school and talks about Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what it is. It's how does your uniqueness play into the things that you're good at and the things that you're afraid of. Like, both of those are part of who you are.
Right.
Like, that's what defines a person's personality, of whether you're afraid of this kind of thing or that kind of thing, or you're like, some things that bother a lot of people don't bother you at all. Like, that's what makes us all unique, and that's why it takes every single person doing what God has placed them into the world to do.
And you bring up a good point, because sometimes we're not afraid of something, so we can't understand how someone else is afraid of something.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so there is a responsibility on you too. When I talk about loving people, this is a part of it. Don't make fun of someone because they're afraid of something. You're also afraid of something. Mm-hmm. They just don't know it.
Yeah.
Or if they made fun of that, you wouldn't like it. So understand that we want to help people, man. If you're afraid of something, cool, man. Me too. I got fears. And that's it. And let's start making people feel like they're a part of the family, not like they're in a whole nother family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when it comes to our faith, what are some ways that we can find confidence and assurance in what we do? In life looking uncertain and we don't know what the rest of our lives look like, how do we kind of navigate that?
First of all, you got to believe that Jesus died for you. If you don't, then you're not standing on any sort of foundation.
Yeah.
So if I'm selling a product and I don't believe the product, you're never going to be able to sell the product. That's one. Two, you have to understand that it is a journey. And the reason we have Jesus is for valleys, hills and valleys, hills and valleys. It's not always going to be great. It's not always going to be in a valley. So we have confidence and assurance knowing that he took me out of that valley before. He'll take me out of it again. I've seen it in my parents' life. I've seen it in my friend's life. So I know he'll do it again, right? And so we start to develop the confidence of that. We've seen it. I said this the other day, that A lot of people say faith is believing in the unseen. Well, I don't guess I have faith because I've seen it.
Yeah.
And I believe it. So it's like, I don't have to unsee. It's not something I haven't unseen. I've seen it. Mm-hmm. So, and I know you have too, in different areas of your life. So we start to see it, we get confident. We see it, we get confident. We see it, we get confident.
Yeah.
And so we just need to know that if everything was amazing, we wouldn't need Jesus.
Yeah.
So we do need Jesus.
Yeah.
Life is hard.
Yep.
And we need other people to know that too.
And we're going to end with one last fear.
Because I did so well earlier.
Yeah, well, we're going to give you get a redemption round at this point.
I was just kidding. I really am good at it. Watch this.
He knows all 100 of the top fears.
Yep.
This one is omphalophobia.
Sure. This is easy.
Yeah?
Cody, this is absolutely easy. I don't want to touch or be around the navel. I have a fear of belly buttons. Look it up.
Okay, he's right.
Hey!
All right, well, that was it. Thank you, Chad, for joining us at the table,
welcome.
and we look forward to the conversations you guys are going to have.